Would you be surprised to know that some of the most successful women of our time face challenges just like you and I do?
Hi, I'm Amber.
And I'm Lisa. We're authors of the book Leading Ladies. Discover your God-grown strategy for success.
We invite you to join us in an honest, messy bun conversation about the things we'd rather keep hidden in our lives.
Some of those things can keep us from moving forward in purpose.
So grab a cup of something delicious, kick off your shoes, and hang out with us for the next 30 minutes. Hello, this is Amber, and welcome to a throwback episode of Coffee Chat. We are so excited, and yet we're still taking some time off for the month of August. Everything has been amazing, but completely upheaved in the middle of Lisa finishing up Casey Superstar and myself with my baby girl going back to school. My husband Philip and I celebrating 30 years of marriage, and of course, recovering from a very exciting ASA conference and Christian Products Expo in Fort Wayne, Indiana. We'll talk about that next week, but we have an exciting announcement for those who haven't heard our Leading Ladies book, Discover Your God-Grown Strategy for Success. Won the Golden Scroll 2024 Anthology of the Year. We are so very proud. And another exciting announcement, we have our Leading Ladies My Discovery and Next Steps journal available on Amazon. So we would love for you, if you haven't yet, grab the book, grab the journal. We are so excited about this journal. So our throwback episode today is our conversation with an amazing leading lady and dear friend, Sioni Rodriguez. You guys will want to tune into this. Sioni has an amazing testimony of coming out of human trafficking, which we know, if you have read her story in the book, it's a powerful story. This is officially our 35th episode, and I'm so excited that you guys can hear from such an amazing woman. So without further ado, Sioni Rodriguez. Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Coffee Chat.
I don't have a coffee this evening. We're out of our normal mojo here. We're not vibing like we normally do on Saturday morning because we're pre-recording.
Yes.
And you're right, I have no coffee either.
I have water, which is not the same.
And I don't want to drink coffee now because
there will be no sleeping.
No.
Of course. Sioni, do you drink coffee at night?
No, I'm a faker. I'm only drinking decaf.
Yes. And she loves warm milk. That is one thing she loves before she goes to bed.
Very nice. Welcome everybody to Coffee Chat with Amber and Lisa. Our guest today, Sioni Rodriguez, is one of our ASA sisters. She didn't get to go this year to the conference, but we've stayed with her before. It would have been an even better party if you had been there, Sioni. Yes. It would have. I missed you.
Yeah, I had to make it next year, definitely. It's just it seems every year I had to go somewhere and just, but.
Yes. We have some exciting news. While we were there, we actually went to the Golden Scrolls Awards. Mm-hmm. And although our book is still a baby, like it's only been born to 2.5 months, not even 3 months.
Yeah.
We somehow, by the grace of God, walked away with a Christian Market Book Award for Leading Ladies. Discover Your God-Grown Strategies for
I would say thank you for voting for us, but
nobody voted except for the judges, I guess. The judges. That was a real blessing and a wonderful honor to have the book honored. And Sioni, you were just talking to us before we went live about the book. You said you just finished reading the entire book.
Yes, I did. And I have my copy too. I read this book and I just wow. Every single chapter in this book is just a good chapter. And what I love about this book is just that it just speaks to everyone, whether it's you a Christian, you're not a Christian, whether you have come from a good home, or you have come from a back home. It speaks to so many people from so many different ways of life. And I just love the whole book. The first time I read in the back, it says, "Sister, it's time to get down to business." That's right. Sister, we got to get down to business, whether it's business with Jesus or it's business with our friends, business with our coworkers. Let's talk about this book. Everybody must have a copy of this book.
Such a huge, nice verbiage there. Everybody must have this book. I want to point out that Sioni is one of our chapter contributors. She is our chapter 10, and her chapter is called Find Strength in Telling Your Story. When we are asked in interviews, are there stories that stand out? And there are many stories that stand out for different reasons. I know you had mentioned even the story Maureen Charles, how that story affected you when you read it. I have to say that a story that stuck out for me is always your story. Some of the stories are warm and fuzzy. And yes, they have some deep meaning to them, but some of them show that there are those of us on this planet serving Jesus. We've walked through some difficult things. And when I look at your life, Sioni, I see a woman. I look at you today, and you're just a beautiful reflection of Christ, of his love. You are vibrant. You are full of love. I can't even tell you people how many times Sioni just texts for no reason to say, "I love you. I'm praying for you." You truly have got a presence of God that just emanates goodness and joy. But when you look at the story of a little girl who is betrayed by the people who should have loved her best and cared for her best.
As you mentioned, I was so into human trafficking when I was a little girl by my mother, who was supposed to be loving me and protecting me. So 3 times, that's the name of the book that I wrote. Now in my adult life, I realized that really hurt people. And I realized that I'm not saying that what my mother did, it was right. It's complete wrong. And I had chose to forgive her for what she did. But I also believe that my mother was such a broken human being that she didn't know how to love back. I had to be the way I was my parents. I don't have to love someone because nobody loves me. And we don't have to live the life like that. We can break the chains and change our lives. I couldn't be that mother too. I also have 2 children. Well, they're adults now. But I talk about when I was a young mother, and I said, you know what? I don't have to be like my mother. I went through so much abuse that if I look back, I might be able to say, you know what? I had the right to be an angry person. I had a right to be an unforgiveness human being. But I chose to break the change and say, you know what? I don't have to be like my parents. And I know maybe someone is here listening to this and might say, you don't know what I went through. Yeah. And I would say, you might don't know what I went through, but I know that when we chose to walk in the healing, whether it's a healing in your life, it just makes a big difference. And when I was a young mom, I said, I don't want to be like my mother. I don't have to be like her. I want to break the change. I want to be a mom where my kids will say one day, you're my superhero kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. I want to break the change of all hurt. I don't want to be that person that I'm going to hurt people because somebody hurts me. Even though I did went through a lot, but because I know that sometimes we want to do these things on our own. Sometimes it just is very hard. I always say that our life is like this beautiful, and it looks so beautiful outside, and then inside you're so broken in little pieces. Yeah. And you go in your life and try to glue things together, put it in little pieces, and then you might be able to put some big pieces together and glue together. But when it comes to little pieces, only God can make those things happen. He is the only one. And that's exactly what I did in my adult life. After I came to the United States, I was very broken. I left Costa Rica because it was so much hurt in that country. I encountered in that country just nothing but pain, bad memories, the hurt, me being sold into human trafficking. Then my mother, she saw me for the third time bring men to the house, and she literally brought the brothel to their home because she knew that I was going to escape, because I did escape 3 times. So she said, this time you're not leaving me. So all that I left behind. And then I come to this country looking for the best, trying to moving forward. And then I find another problem, another thing. These men, they purchased me. They brought me to America and thinking that my life is going to change. And it didn't happen that way. But yeah, I was putting those big pieces together. But when it came to those little pieces, that's what I was like, you know what? I can't do this on my own. I need Jesus. Yeah. And he was the one be able to put those little pieces together.
Can you tell us about Jesus? I know that you encountered Jesus when you were younger, but you were still very much in the midst of the sex trafficking industry. But then as an adult woman, when you had a chance to be free from that, you had another experience with him. Tell us about the difference between those times for you.
So I think one thing is know him, and one thing is encounter with him, surrounded to him. It just is such a different thing. I believe as a little kid, when I was 12 years old, when I came to Christ, I think I did it because I was desperate. I was looking for love that was given to me in that home, which that was the first time I walked to the house and people welcomed me. They were having church in the home. Pastor, you want to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. I'm only 12 years old. I have not experienced anything besides pain, hurt, and violence in my life. So I want that. But I didn't know exactly what was really surrounded to him, loving him, knowing that he is going to take care of you, that he's going to be there with you, going through everything. And then here I'm coming to America. And then, of course, I'm not ashamed about that, because whatever happens to me or whatever we have done in the past, it doesn't define who we are. So here I'm come to America. The man left me. So what I went back to prostitution because that's all I knew. And it's not because I couldn't do another job. It's just that I didn't know the language. I didn't know how to speak a word in English. And I didn't know anything. And I had 2 babies that they need to be fit. Yeah. So I went back, and then I started going back to church, and I realized that, you know what, the lifestyle, it was not the right lifestyle for me. And then I eventually started trying to get back and to serve him, to surrender to him. And you know what, when I started experiencing that, God will start opening the doors for me to get a job. He started opening the doors for me to meet people that really wanted to love me, help me. And then I see the difference. One thing is to know him and to really have the relationship with him. Then really know that he is there with you by your side, and it doesn't matter how things look. You might not have a food for that day. You might not have nothing, but you have him. And he will never leave you or forsake you. And I do believe in that. And I'm firm believe that God is there by you and your side when you really have an encounter with him.
Yeah. You know, Sioni, one of the things that I remember you showing me is pulling back your arms and showing all the burns that your mother, she would burn you with her cigar, and just seeing those wounds. How does that affect your everyday? Do you see those in a different way now?
I do. So when I was a teenager, I was very cautious, very aware about my scars in my body, not just in my arms. I do scars in my back and my legs. I was very caught up in my look as a young girl. Maybe even when I came to America, I was very, don't want to show. But you know, one time, maybe 10 years, I don't know, many years ago, somebody told me that was beauty marks. And now I look them and I realize that, you know what? This remind me the devil always wants to kill me and destroy me. But God has a different plan in my life. And every time I look as a beauty marks.
Yeah, that is good. I think it's exciting that even Jesus, his scars won't be held in heaven. It's a testimony to what we've walked through and a testimony for him of his love for us. People would think that I would have the right to be hospitalized. I would have the right to be not right in my head. I would have all that. Yet trauma just doesn't go away. How did you deal with that trauma growing up? And when did you actually feel like you healed? Do you still have trauma?
I was actually sharing with Lisa when I married with my husband that I'm married now, which is, I call him my Boaz because he's my redeemer. When Richard and I got married in 2003, the first 3 years, it was the boot camp in our lives. And I look back and sometimes we sit together, we say, I don't know how we stood together. But sometimes you don't know that because God is the one in control, right? But I was so broken and I don't think I had the trauma right now. No, there is because I don't know if I do some things. Okay, I'll give you an example. I went to see the movie it just came out and
Sound of Freedom.
Yes.
Sound of Freedom.
That's right.
The whole time I'm watching the movie, I was that little girl. And it was so many tricks. And I had to, I came out of the movie, I'm like, oh my God. Emotionally, I was destroyed. I was destroyed emotionally. And I feel like, oh my God, is that it? That I did the right thing to go watch this movie? Because, that trauma, it came back. And I haven't experienced that for so many years, but it went back. And even right out of the movie, I broke out and I started crying. People came and I went out with a whole bunch of friends. So they all start praying for me because it hit home. The answer is, you know what? Maybe things like that, maybe it's still in the back in here. And sometimes we put it in the back and we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to deal with it. And then it's here now. And now what are you going to do with this? And I think maybe it is something there that I'm not sure. Yeah, it may be. But so I feel like I'm healed. But again, things can come back.
Yeah. That's why I like the whole idea of just being honest about what you're feeling and that, because not just keeping something behind you and not admitting that you have any feelings or trauma or anything, it just isn't real. It isn't truth.
I think things have a way of, and I believe God, our Father, Holy Spirit, has a way of allowing us to sometimes encounter when we think something's gone, it's back there, we're not going to deal with it. I believe sometimes he does allow us to encounter those thoughts and those feelings. And I have to believe that is part of even deeper healing for us at the right time, at the right place. You were able, I'm not saying it's good either way, but you were able to have friends around you. Mm-hmm. Be in a situation where, yes, that little girl's story resembled yours, but it was not yours. It triggered memories of yours. Mm-hmm. You were not back there. And you are now safe, an adult woman with many years of experience and God's healing, and he will continue to heal. It's also sometimes the timing of when these things come forward. I have to say that God knows what he's doing and how he's doing it. I'm just grateful that you had friends to watch that film and that you're here smiling in front of us today. Your story is remarkable to me. I had to pull up Isaiah 43 just real quick because I had to say this. When you're talking about how do you walk through those extreme spaces. And I just look at chapter 43 when he's basically talking to Israel, and he's saying, Israel, the one who formed you says, do not be afraid, for I have ransomed you. I've called you by name. You are mine. When you go through deep waters, I will be with you. He doesn't leave us when we're in the midst of those really hard spaces. Mm-mm. When you go through those deep waters, I'm with you. When you go through rivers of difficulty, you will not drown. When you walk through the fire of oppression, you will not be burned up. The flames will not consume you, for I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior. Look at that, and I have to remind myself that when we do go through those deep things and we bring up those memories, God the Father is with us right now, and I have to believe he was present even then.
Yeah. I was thinking about the love of God and how his love has never changed for you, Sioni. He loved you the same when you were little, and he loved you the same when you were prostituting yourself. And you know what? God has some grace for that.
Right.
And I know that it's easy to hide that under a shame. Oh, I did this and I should have known better. But the very fact that God's grace in those moments, he knew where you were at. He knew the desperation in your heart. And he had grace for those moments, even with your mother. God's love never changed for her, even though she did. How do you face that? The love of God for a mother who was despicable in everybody's eyes. To me, it'd be hard not to go back and murder my mother. But yet, even when she was ill, you decided to sit by her side and care for her. What kind of strength did that take?
You know how God alone, remember the whole thing with him going to the cross, he endures a lot of pain. So he understands the pain we go through. Why I do believe, I know that my mother, one day I'm going to see her again, because my husband was able to lead her to Christ. The way I see it is, if I wouldn't chose to forget my mother, if I wouldn't chose to be by her side, taking care of her for 1 month, doing everything for her, the opportunity for her to have an encounter with Christ wouldn't be there. Not chose to forgive her, which is God's creation, who God really died for her, because God died for her just like it died for me and for you and for anybody. So it doesn't matter how spectacular this woman was, God died for her. Okay, so now who I am not to be there and show her love, the love that I say Christ lives in me. So now I'm able to show you, this is the real love that you need to know, the agape love that God has given us, that he was able to die on the cross. And now I'm giving you what I know with this love that I have to you. She was able to receive that love and be able to say, you know what? I want that love that you have, because if you didn't have God in your life, you wouldn't be here, Sioni, taking care of me and loving me the way you are after I being such a spectacular mom to you. And it's all because him. Without him, I would not be able to do that. The first thing we want to do is, you know what? You deserve to be dead, right? It's just a normal thing. The human, and there's nothing wrong with that. The people will think that way. But what makes it different is him. It's him. Without him, we be able to do things. But when we have him, our love is different. It's unconditional. A love that you want to give to someone else.
Because of him, love is different. How you love is different. How you extend love is different because of him. Because if it was left up to us, we wouldn't be very good witness or example of love. It can only be what it is because of him. Tell me, what is God doing today? How is God using you today and this story in reaching so many different women?
God just, He's continue open the doors for me. I was able to translate my book in Spanish finally. I'm so excited because now I even touching the Spanish community, which is big. And God used me. I'm still going to, I've seen different churches, doing women's conference, traveling to different countries. I'm going to Thailand in October. I'm going to be working with a ministry up there, and I'm going to be working in Bangkok, human trafficking survivors. I will be going to Dominican Republic next month. I just got back from Uganda, Africa. I got the opportunity to work with this woman who has been in silence for so many years. It was a woman who's been very abused through men, people who come to the village. They have sexually, a lot of them missing limbs on their bodies because they try to retaliate and they so abused. And I had the opportunity to minister and me be able to tell them, you know what? Hope. God can change, God can do things, and see the miracles and see to say, you know what? This God that you serve is going to work. And it's just a beautiful thing. We know that, you know what, with the devil, and we heard this so many times, and everybody say the devil meant to destroy, God can turn around and do it for good. And I'm such a firm believer in that. We all have a story to tell, whether it's a story about a little dog who got killed or someone who went through something like me. But whatever story that we have, let God write your story, because when he writes, he frames it. He just does such a good job. And our testimony is to glorify what God has done in our lives. I go to the prisons on Sundays, and I got the opportunity to minister to those women in the prison. And I always wanted, tell me what's going on with your life. Not that I want to know what they're there for, but I want to know what God's doing in their lives. Because you can see the transformation in their lives and how they want this God and they want to change their lives. And they had these stories to tell. And I told them, once you leave this place, you got to go up there and tell your story, because your story is so important, because somebody needs to hear your story, because it will be guidance for their future. So
that's amazing. I love you tying that in, because once again, the title of your chapter is Finding Strength in Telling Your Story. And obviously telling your story has brought strength to your life. And I have to believe that because you've been willing to share the deepest hurts, when you lay that all out on the table, like Amber was saying, when you keep it hidden and tucked away, when you put it out here in front of yourself on the table for all to see, then there's nothing the enemy can do with it any longer. It's there for all to see. He can't lie to you about it. He can't deceive you anymore. He can't hold it over your head. He can't put shame upon you. It's here. And I'm offering this out to God. I'm giving it to him and letting him redeem it, letting him do what he can with it so that others can come to know him. I'm so grateful for you, Sioni, and for your heart. I want to make sure everybody knows your book. Sioni's book is called 3 Times Sold, A Story of Faith, Survival, and Forgiveness. As she said, they're getting ready to release it now in Spanish. What you read about Sioni in chapter 10, there's an entire book full of such amazing God stuff, all of the goodness. Sioni, the person in front of you right now, it's all because of Jesus and what he's done to restore her and redeem her and use her. And so go to the Leading Ladies .life website. This book, you can get it there. Sioni, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yes.
We love you so much. Do you have any last words you want to say to anybody?
I just want to say that, you know what, just if you have a story to tell your story, don't let the devil to pull you back. Don't let the devil to speak lies to you, to tell you how, because whatever happened in our past, it doesn't define who we are. That's all.
True.
And keep moving forward, serving God, and just loving people.
Yeah.
That's right. That's the best part about it.
Yeah.
Oh, Sioni, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Do you have any final words for our...
We are going to be live hopefully the week after next. We're just taking an every other week approach to our lives so we can just get some Sabbath for ourselves. So we want you to be sure to join us also for our lives, but also subscribe to our podcast over on Apple, and it's on Amazon, Spotify, iHeart. I think anywhere there are podcasts. Look up Coffee Chat with Amber and Lisa, and you can subscribe. We'd love to have you subscribe and get that feed direct to your inbox.
Yes. Okay, everybody, we loved having you for this episode. Thank you so much, Sioni. We love you to pieces. We're grateful for your story. And until next time, we'll see you later.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye. In a world that often tries to confine and categorize, best-selling book Leading Ladies, Discover Your God-Grown Strategy for Success celebrates the diverse tapestry of women just like you and their unique journeys of faith. Join Lisa and I as we partner with over 30 women from every hue, age, and walk of life, united by one mission: to let Christ shine through our gifts, wherever we are. Within the pages of Leading Ladies, you'll find a wealth of wisdom, inspiration, and practical guidance. These women share their personal stories, triumphs, failures, and the lessons they've learned along the way. Leading Ladies is more than just a book. It's a movement, a call to action for women of faith to rise up, support one another, and make a difference in the world. Together, let's celebrate the strength, resilience, and faith of leading ladies from every background and be inspired to let Christ shine through your gifts, wherever you may be. Leading Ladies, Discover Your God-Grown Strategy for Success. Available now wherever books are sold.